For one weekend every summer, the skies above Steuben County turn into one of the most colorful sights in Indiana. Angola Balloons Aloft brings dozens of hot air balloons, glowing nighttime displays, cars, music, food, and family fun to Northeast Indiana. Joining us today is committee member Jim Owen, who helps make this remarkable event take flight. Welcome to the 260, Jim.
Well, thank you.
So tell me, how has the festival evolved over 17 years?
Well, it was originally introduced by Marcia and Walt Drews, and the original intent was to not only bring a free family event to the area, but also to bring attention to the airport that was in dire need of a new terminal building.
But it's now held at Angola High School, right?
We moved to Angola High School. We achieved our goal of getting a new terminal building for the area, which was built of an expense of about $1.3 million years ago. But then we outgrew the facility. So Angola High School stepped in and has really been a good partner.
All right, a lot of balloons, but talk about some of the other elements of the festival.
Sure. Well, obviously, you can only keep the balloons in the air for a certain amount of time. We have 5 competition flights, and we need some other things to fill the gap. So we have food vendors. We have the classic car show. This year, we're going to bring back the characters for the kids, which is the Frozen characters, Bluey and Captain America. Those are always a big hit.
Are those balloons, or are they characters walking around?
No, they're going to be characters walking around that the kids can meet, get their photographs taken with. We also have the Kids Fun Zone, which is a huge, huge hit. And then the other piece is, just smaller events throughout that just kind of piecemeal and just kind of keep everything flowing.
Do you have those special character balloons coming?
Yes, typically we have 28 competition balloons and 5 special shaped balloons. And then this year we're also going to have balloon rides. This is a larger basket balloon that has the ability to hold 12 to 15 people, and you can sign up on the website for those rides.
Awesome. You talked about the competitions. How did these balloon competitions work? Explain how that works.
Sure. Well, basically, our competition director, Phil Klinger, they have their own set of rules, whether they're leaving the airport, or sorry, not the airport, but leaving the high school and coming back in. So particularly when you're coming back in, that's probably the one that's the most noticeable from a competition standpoint, because there's a pole grab. So there's 2 things with that. Number one, they try to grab the pole to get a pretty fantastic prize, or they also drop bean bags from their baskets, and then they're scored basically on how close they hit the target.
All right, you brought us some really cool pictures, and we're going to put some of these up as we talk. So there's the competition, and is the balloon design important in these? Who designs them? These people bring in their own balloons? They have them in the garage and they bring in a balloon?
Well, the cost of the balloons are in the tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm not a balloonist, so I would just speculate. But I think a lot of it has to do with personal preference. And as a enthusiast, I would think that aerodynamics plays a role.
Sure.
But yeah, these pilots are professionals. They do this all over the country, and they're quite good.
And how does weather factor in?
Well, the primary thing for weather is wind speed. Obviously, if we're getting thunderstorms or rain, that just kind of grounds everything. But we also have a weather person on site that basically coordinates with the competition director and says, okay, yes, we're good to go. We're in a holding stage while we wait for winds to clear the area. But basically, wind speed is the primary concern. But even when we don't fly for the competition, that doesn't mean that we can't do the glow.
Yeah, talk about that. Those have become very popular, right?
Sure. So the glow obviously happens after sundown. So typically we get some help from Mother Nature because winds typically die down once we're at dusk.
That's beautiful. Do they all light up, or is it
No,
just certain number of them?
No, what we do is because we do 2 glows, we do half on Friday night and half on Saturday night. So they're all numbered. So odds one night, evens the other night. And we have some of our pilots that just are so enthusiastic about it, and they love putting on a show that even if it's not their night, sometimes they'll glow both nights. So,
How many times have you been up in those babies?
never with the event. When I was a kid, I had a neighbor who had a balloon and went up with him, but it's kind of funny for me being as part of a balloon event, I'm scared to death of heights.
Okay, all right. I don't want to freak you out then. So, talk a little bit about the impact that this has in the community and in the economy of Angola.
Sure. So a few things. The economic impact is just phenomenal for the area. The area gets about $1 million, on an event weekend in direct impact to the community, in addition to another $250,000 in food and beverage sales and another $100,000 in direct retail sales. And those numbers really don't include local residents. That's everything for people that are coming in from out of the area.
Hey, by the way, do the balloons all take off from Angola High School and all land back there, or is there some other place?
No, yeah, depending on what the weather situation is,
Right.
that is largely what determines whether they're going to launch from the high school or whether they're going to fly in. And we basically try to alternate so that the spectators are getting both the best,
Okay.
the best of both worlds.
Important thing to know: it's free for everybody, right?
Correct.
All right. What do you hope to see, and maybe when people go, what do you hope they leave away with the experience? What do they take away?
Well, number one, just how opening and inviting the community is. A lot of these people come in, and specifically for the event, we've had people that really comment on how outgoing the community is and those types of things. So really just what the community has to offer besides the event, because our hope is that we're going to draw attention to the area, not just the event.
Right. Well, it seems like it's one of the signature events of the summer season here. Angola Balloons Aloft takes place July 10th and 11th at Angola High School. Admission is free. Parking is free. Put your screens down, grab the family, enjoy one of the signature events in the 260.